Let's bring in Morgan Ortagus, former spokeswoman for the U.S. State Department and U.S. Navy Reserve officer. Morgan, welcome to the show. Harvard University has been in the spotlight quite a bit after more than a dozen student groups came out in support of the Hamas attacks on Israel. Many have called for those students to face punishment, but take a listen to Harvard President Claudine Gay's reaction.
Let me be clear. Our university rejects terrorism. That includes the barbaric atrocities perpetrated by Hamas. Our university rejects hate. Hate of Jews, hate of Muslims, hate of any group of people based on their faith, their national origin, or any aspect of their identity. Our university rejects the harassment or intimidation of individuals based on their beliefs. And our university embraces a commitment to free expression. That commitment extends even to views that many of us find objectionable, even outrageous.
So Morgan, Harvard recently actually came in dead last in a poll of all universities' freedom of speech on campus. So kind of ironic to hear that there. What do you make of this anti-Israel sentiment? See, not just at our universities and on our city streets, but also, it seems, even in the highest levels of our government.
Well, Lara, thank you so much for having me on tonight. I think that there is something very rotten to the core of these universities, and it's why you see people like Joe Lonsdale in Texas starting a new free speech university. It's why you see parents around the country really worried about where they're sending their children to high school, to middle school, to college. And I think that there is a particular institutional rot in our colleges and in our universities. And this was exposed by many people even before this war that was perpetrated on Israel by Hamas. And ultimately by Iran. Remember that before this war started on these woke university campuses, you heard the constant, steady drumbeat that America is this terrible nation. We were founded by racists. We were founded by white supremacists. I think it's one of the main reasons why you've seen the recruitment level in the military so low, because these children, these young people, are being indoctrinated from the left that this is a terrible nation. It should surprise no one that the people who are focused on indoctrinating young people about the evils of America are the same people that are lauding the terrorist organizations. They are lauding the actions of a designated terrorist entity that rapes women, that beheads babies, and perpetrates all sorts of terrorist acts of violence. They're standing by them. So for me, this is unfortunately not a surprise. We have seen anti-Semitism grow in this country, at least 36% just in the last year. And so it doesn't surprise me that anti-Semitism has grown in the United States, but especially on college campuses. Young Jews have felt that for a long time. And now, unfortunately, the whole world is just seeing what all of us know actually exists on these campuses.
Yeah, it's scary stuff. Speaking of our government, on Thursday, Israel told the UN to evacuate the northern Gaza Strip within 24 hours, clearly preparing for its ground attack. Congresswoman Ilhan Omar called it ethnic cleansing. I certainly don't recall Israeli civilians, Morgan, getting a warning call to evacuate, though.
That's right, Lara. First of all, Israel has called for people to leave Gaza. They've called for the UN to help try and get people to leave Gaza. And they've called on countries like Egypt to open up the border and accept people. Right now, Egypt, who is on the border with Gaza, could accept these Palestinians and get them out of harm's way. We will see if they end up negotiating a deal, but so far they are not allowing Palestinians to do so. They're not allowing Palestinians to get out of harm's way. Further, Lara, I would also say, there's one way in which civilians could not get harmed, and that is if Hamas, number one, were to encourage them and allow them to actually leave, because see, Hamas is not encouraging them to do so. In fact, Hamas is encouraging them to stay. Why? Because they want to use these people as human shields. These are depraved, sick terrorists that have no problem killing their own people as much as they do Israelis, as long as it serves their political purposes. And also, listen, the one way to stop all of this, it could stop tomorrow. If Hamas would give up the hostages. Hamas has hostages, not only Israelis, not only likely Americans, we believe. We know that there's Italians. We know that there's people from many countries around the world that got caught up in this, not just Israelis. This was an attack on America, Lara. This was an attack on our citizens as well. So if Hamas actually cares about Palestinian civilians, about Palestinian mothers, about Palestinian children, about Palestinian babies, Hamas should let the hostages go today, and this will all be over.
All right, Morgan Ortagus, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate it tonight.
Thanks, Lara.